Hello YouTube and welcome to another video. So I actually made a video just yesterday on a workstation PC build. I'm coming to you with another one on this Dell Latitude E5270. I've just had this for a few hours now. It's not personally mine. It's a business laptop intended for business purpose, but I will be doing a little bit of an overview kind of first impressions video here. This isn't really a review video because I haven't had it for long enough to solidly have some really short solidified thoughts and really give you any sort of number rating, but I will be giving you a little bit of my thoughts as somebody who knows a little bit about this topic. So to start off, this configuration is $1,200 from Dell, roughly $1,200. It starts at $800 and something, and it's a pretty good little business laptop. It's definitely business grade. It's not really meant for consumers, so you're not going to have any of the silly bells and whistles on it that you would with like a multimedia laptop, for example. And one of the first things I noticed about it is that it has a very good build quality. It's small, it's pretty slim, and it feels compact. It doesn't feel flimsy or like it's going to break if you look at it the wrong way whatsoever. The hinges are very good quality. It doesn't flap around too much if you tap it. And overall, I'm very impressed with the keys. Feel comfortable, and the trackpad, which is amazing enough, is actually not horrible. I noticed that a lot of PCs, even professional laptops, will have absolutely trash trackpads, but this one, very smooth to the touch, feels fairly responsive, and just easy to use all around. It does also have a backlit keyboard. Turns off if you don't use the trackpad for a little while, but you can toggle it with the function keys, and with the function keys, of course, you also have audio control and everything like that, and brightness control. So one of the first things I actually noticed was how crisp this display looked. I looked at it and I thought, wow, there's no way this is any lower than 1440, but I looked at it, surely enough, it is 1080p. The screen comes in 12 inches, but there's two resolutions you can get. You can get 768p or 1080p, and this one is a 1080p screen. Now I did also notice that the colors on this screen look very, very vivid and bright and deep. This camera doesn't really do it justice, especially not focusing there, but the colors do absolutely look amazing. A lot of the screens nowadays, especially the screens that are trying to really push down the response times, will use TN panels that look very washed out and the contrast is all off, but this screen looks very, very beautiful to my eyes, so I definitely noticed that right off the bat. So moving into specs, it has a Core i5-6300U CPU in its particular model. Most come with a 2.3 or 2.4 GHz, but this is the 2.4 GHz i5 dual core. It's hyper-threaded, so you see two cores, each with two logical cores for a total of 4 logical CPU cores. And most versions of this come with 4 GB of memory, which is honestly and truly rather underwhelming for 2016, almost 2017. But this version here, or this particular order, has an 8 GB chip of memory in it, DDR4 2133 MHz, and it has 2 RAM slots, upgradable to 16 GB, which is much better. So at some point in history, I might find myself tossing another 8 GB chip in this to upgrade to 16 GB. Now, what I found very, very interesting and peculiar about this laptop is that it actually supports RAID mode. It has 3 drive interfaces. It has a 2.5-inch SATA drive slot, as well as an M.2 and PCI Express SSD connectors, which is very interesting. What's more interesting is it actually supports RAID mode between those different interfaces. So you can have, let's say, a 2.5-inch hard disk drive or SSD with another PCI Express or M.2 SSD in there, actually in RAID with each other, if I'm not mistaken. That's very interesting. I've never seen a RAID capability on a laptop before, but it's definitely something to look into if you want a laptop with failover protection, so that if one of your drives fails, you're not just in the dark. I would test the SSD speed of this machine because this particular one has a 256 GB PCI Express SSD in it, straight from Dell. However, this is not my laptop and I'm not allowed to install software on it, so I will not be doing any speed tests. But it seems pretty zippy. I'll do a boot test at the end of the video to give you an idea of that. Now it has Intel HD Graphics 520, nothing special there. You know, it's a business laptop, it's not meant for gaming, so it'll do what you need to do. It'll chug your video output, but you do not expect to get any early performance driven graphics out of this machine. So it has dual band Wi-Fi. That's wireless AC, meaning it supports 2.4 and 5 GHz Wi-Fi networks, which is very useful nowadays, especially given the advantages of 5 GHz Wi-Fi. I'll see oftentimes that there's a lot of 2.4 GHz networks in a given area that kind of clog each other up a little bit, so it's definitely good to have the 5 GHz Wi-Fi option. Now the batteries come in two different sizes, 47 and 62 watt hours. I don't really know how much that translates into battery life directly. The charger is 65 watts, so it obviously doesn't chug that much power. Now moving into ports, on the side here, you have a USB 3. It might be a 3.1. It's a super speed USB 3 port at any rate, so that'll support up to several hundred megabytes a second of read and write input and output. And you have a total of 3 of those. One more is on the side here. I'm afraid you can't see this super great, but you have a combined audio jack. You have an SD card slot, another one of those USB 3.0s. I'm not sure what this is. It's not mentioned in any of the Dell documentation that I could find, but it's something. And what's interesting that I haven't seen in 10 years or so on laptops is that you actually have a few ports on the back. Right here is your charging port, obviously, with a USB 3.0 and HDMI. I checked, and the graphics version that comes with at least this model of this laptop, it supports up to 4K at 60 Hz, but depending on the version of HDMI that is, which I could not dig up from the documentation, it might only support 4K at 30 Hz. Now you have a VGA connector for good old compatibility, and a gigabit Ethernet port. Now I'm not going to flip it over, but on the bottom you do also have a connector for a docking station. Docking stations are incredibly useful. They're also a little bit expensive. They're usually several $100s. I haven't checked how much Dell's is for this model, but it's definitely great to have that degree of support for a docking station. It makes your life a whole lot easier when moving your laptop to and from your desk, especially at a workplace. So what I'll do now is I'll do a little bit of a boot test. I'll just go ahead and shut it off for you and then show you how quickly it boots up off this SSD. This is a very clean install of Windows 7 Professional. There's really not much on it. I do believe it comes with Windows 7 and Windows 10 options for configuration straight from Dell. So that's how quickly it shut down. I'll go ahead and boot it up for you again. And obviously, yes, the power button's right there. There's a Dell screen. You can enter the UEFI setup there, choose your boot devices, all that good stuff. And there you have it. That's not the absolute fastest boot I've ever seen, so I would say that's probably like a 7 out of 10 boot up speed. So that about concludes it for my overview video. I hope you all found it interesting and useful. Obviously that wasn't quite as depthful as a full review. I'm not really going to give you a rating, but I will say that it is a very solid laptop. It seems like it's very well built, has a good feature set, and doesn't really break the bank. So yeah, overall I would definitely recommend it. I'm actually really tempted to buy one of these for myself if I ever need to upgrade laptops, because you really can't match the build quality and just design quality of professional grade laptops. Sure, they don't really have the bells and whistles, they don't have the blasting speakers or anything similar to that, but it's small, it's compact, and it looks very reliable. So I'm hoping that if any of you purchase this, you will be pleased. So thank you for watching. I have a lot of other videos on technology similar to this if you'd like to check those out as well.